What's up, guys? Another recap here. Pretty good day overall in the markets. It was a small green day for me, but green day nonetheless, so I got to be thankful for that. Let's get into it. So the first trade, and the only stock I ended up trading today, was on GV. So the first setup, it was a MACD crossover setup. So classic setup, you want to see a fairly big green candle with higher volume than the previous candle. And then after that, you kind of normally want to see another green candle with increasing volume, and you want to see it break the high of the previous candle. And so as it was moving up, you can see I tried to get in several times. Unfortunately, with Thinkorswim, it being a commission-free broker, a little cheaper as well, it's free, you have to deal with slow execution times, or slower relatively to like Lightspeed or just anything like that. So I got in a little higher than I would have wanted to. So I got in around 592 and 594, I believe. And getting in that high, I was hoping for the push through 6. And it pushed up pretty well. But had a little pullback, which is expected after breaking a whole dollar. And so I sold a little too soon, to be honest. Just getting in that high and not where I wanted to originally. I wasn't super confident. But with this type of setup, the next candle will almost always retest the high of the previous candle. So as it breaks a whole dollar, you expect a pullback. I sold at the red candle right there, which is bad self-control on my part. Should have stayed a little more patient. It wasn't even at the stop loss I had really wanted. So I got scared, I guess. I sold, which is something I'm working on, something I'm learning right now. And so I really should have stayed. I had already banked some profit. I sold half a little earlier on. So I should have kept that for the move higher. And if it did fail, then I could have just sold, kept the loss small. But yeah, so I mean, what do you gotta do? You gotta stay patient. I gotta get better at holding my winners a little longer. But yeah, on to the next one. So the next setup was on GV again. And it was a 5-minute setup. So it was a next candle to make a high on the 5-minute chart. And so you can see once it makes a new high, I end up buying in. And so I went in half size on this. I don't know why. I guess I don't think I was that confident. So I do have to work on that as well. I should trust my setups, go in full size, or not full size, but go in the normal share size. For me, it would be 30. Which I'm working on kind of increasing that comfortably. Just kind of getting used to loss size and just slowly increasing that. It was good and ended up making a pretty good move. So ideally, I should have bought it in normal share size and then sold half when it reached the high or when it broke the high of day, and then held half for either a further push higher or a pullback and it failing to push higher and just keeping the loss small. But yeah, so it ended up making a really nice move. I should have made more profit, but it's all good. Just something I'm learning here, something I'm getting used to. But yeah, so next setup. So next setup was for the break of 6.5. So with that, I had a mental stop loss of around 6.4. And I increased my share size pretty quickly. And so with that, I can sell half as it starts moving up and hold the other half for the move higher. And it ends up having quite a bit of resistance at 680. So I kind of just got out there because it was failing to push higher. And so I kind of just stepped back, waited for the push to 7, and I wasn't going to buy in at that point. I was kind of going to wait for the break through 7, not buy like 6.9, sell at 6.95 or something. That's just not enough movement for me, for it to be worth it. So I kind of held that for a little, but really just waiting for the move higher. So yeah, you can see I sold half my profit a little earlier on, and finally I sold the other half at the peak of the candle as it failed to move higher. So I got good profit out of there. I should have gone in more share size, but working on that. So yeah, so this next setup was for the breakthrough 7, which this was actually a bad buy on my part. because the stock, it was already so extended at this point that I should have just waited for a pullback. And there was a lot of resistance at both 7 and 7.15. And so at this point, I should have had better self-control and just, I should have been thankful with what I had, the profits, and not gone in here and waited for the move higher. Because it doesn't show on the 1 minute chart right now, but there was a line of resistance around 7.15. And then obviously at 7, the whole dollar. But I kept the loss fairly small before it flushed further. And so I sold at a pretty good time. But yeah, just bad buy on my part. So got to get a little bit better with that. It's kind of getting a little gung-ho, a little frenzy. But yeah, on to the next. So the next setup, once again, was MACD crossover. So yeah, so I waited for the break through the moving average. I think it was a 20 moving average on the 1 minute chart, or both the 20 and the 9 moving average, excuse me, on the 1 minute chart. And so you can also see that it was the first candle to make a new high on the 5 minute chart. And honestly, this was, looking back on it, this was a pretty bad buy as well, because you can see the huge bottoming or topping tail on the green candle that made the high. And so seeing that, you can see, I mean, it's pretty much already started a reversal. So you can expect a lot of sellers at this point and not a lot of buyers, unfortunately. So yeah, with that, just, I should have noticed that. Poor self-control. So yeah, that's on me, but yeah, we're learning. So yeah, that's just an indicator of a reversal, that candlestick. But yeah, so it ended up being a false breakout, so I ended up just taking a small loss on it. I kind of held it for a little while, just seeing if it would move higher, because I had hopes, but it ended up not. So once again, once I see the topping tail on the green candle and then the red candle as well, I just cut my loss short and wait for the next setup. So yeah, I was kind of just chilling here. Yeah, so this setup, it was very very similar to the previous setup, and just another MACD crossover. I was trying to anticipate the MACD crossover, so get in a little earlier than I normally would, just to get a little more profit. So once again, buying at the break of the moving average, just hoping for the move higher, and it pushed up fairly well, but unfortunately it just couldn't hold. And so, I mean, you can see I'm just waiting for the move higher or the move lower, and it's taking a little while, which is making me less confident in this setup, especially with the way the last trade went. So yeah, it couldn't hold around 6.5, and it just kept getting sold off, and I had trouble pushing to 6.6 and then on to like 6.7, 6.8, whatever it may be. And so with that, just trying to be patient, see if it does push higher, because I usually sell my winners a little too short for the most part. But you can see it does break the high of the previous candle at that point, but it just fails to push higher. So with that, I tried to hold because I wasn't in a lot of profit so far, but yeah, I tried to stay patient, hoping it would push higher to make a little more money. But yeah, ended up failing, couldn't push any higher, and so ended up just selling pretty quickly and just trying to get out, just keeping the loss small again. I'm just trying to decrease the size of my losses and increase the size of my winners. I'm working on that right now. But yeah, anyways, on the last setup, and you can see I'm kind of just waiting through this whole time, just seeing if it does anything. But finally I get out, try to get out, and then finally get out. So on the last setup, yeah, so for the last setup, another MACD crossover, same stock right after the other two, trying to anticipate it. And so with that, you can see the higher volume on the green candle, and then another green candle after it broke that high. And so I bought in for the break of 6.5 as well, and finally it worked. A setup that finally worked after the other two false breakouts. So Not the best buy on my part, just with the 2 false breakouts, but it ended up working out pretty well. And it gave me a really nice move, and I was able to secure my profit. So looking back, I could have gone in for more. I only went in for 15 shares just with the last 2 false breakouts, so I wasn't super confident. But I could have gone in for 30 and made a little bit more profit. So once it makes 10-cent move, 5-cent move, whatever it may be, I can buy in for another 15, which I didn't, unfortunately. But ended up selling as it made a move higher and got a little more profit. But yeah, that's it for me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.